high fidelity.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. And we have a great show for you today. And as always, you can catch us on the web at ringsidereporter.com. You want to call or ask questions, you can call in now at 323-870-3857. And we're going to be here till about, I don't know, according to my notes, about a half hour. It's been a real late news week, so hopefully we can be here till 9 o'clock, but we'll see what happens. Today, we're going to talk about Anthony Joshua. He gets a new opponent after Kubrat Pulev pulls out. We'll tell you who it is. The WBA suspends Louis Ortiz and removes him from the rankings after a failed drug test. But first, we get started with HBO. Jezreel Corrales versus Alberto Machado. I tell you what, Corrales, he looked pretty good in this fight, man. He controlled the fight for the most part, knocked Machado down in the 5th round, and it seemed like he was in total control till the 6th round when Machado hurt Corrales and didn't knock him down, but only because Corrales tackled him pretty much to avoid going down. The end came in the 8th round as both fighters landed right hands, but Machado landed the better one that put Corrales down. The ref counted to 10 in what may have been the fastest count I've ever seen. Not to mention Corrales was up at 9. Machado wins nevertheless, but not an overly impressive fight for him. I really was not impressed with Machado at all. I know he's undefeated and all that other good stuff, but yeah, he was left a lot to be desired. And I really, if I see him again, great. If not, great. But Jezreel Corrales wants a rematch afterwards. I don't know. I could watch it again, I guess. Beeb, what were your thoughts on this fight?
This fight was very entertaining. I thought it was a better fight than advertised. I didn't expect much from Machado, but this is the thing. Both of these guys have imperfections. They have flaws. They do things wrong. And because of them both doing things wrong, that's why the fight turned out to be as interesting as it played out. Corrales has a lot of that herky-jerky movement. He's very awkward. Has that little move where he does that little sit-down feint, drops down, and it's really hard to get a read on if he's going to go downstairs on you or if he's going to go, shoot a shot up top, from that angle. Andre Ward, about the footwork of Corrales, little subtle movement, little step here, little step there. So he's really good at manipulating his opponent and getting him to do things to open him up, putting his opponent in positions he can't really defend, and he's not ready for what's coming out. So because he changes the look so much, awkward, it's really hard to get a read on him, and it's really hard to gauge him. But this is the thing about Machado. Andre Ward also made a great point about him. He was pretty predictable with his footwork. He just kept coming forward. He moved in straight lines. It was basic. But the thing is he gets so much leverage on that left hand. When he lands it, you could just see the reaction he was getting from Corrales. He was, one shot really changed the fight, turned the fight around. In that 6th round, I thought that was a really, really heavy shot. Also, I thought that it should have been a knockdown because the glove did touch the canvas as a result of the punch. It was pretty similar to what happened to Machado in the 3rd round. So, with that being said, Andre Ward, again, I keep, going to Andre Ward here because he made some great points. He said that, Machado looked like he was just trying to have his power bail him out in this fight, and he really wasn't making adjustments. He wasn't really, really sophisticated with his offense. But here's the thing. That left hand is an eraser. And also he's a big, strong guy who is really big and strong for the weight class. He's probably one of the bigger, stronger guys in that weight class. And he reminds me a little bit of Chico Corrales back in the day, and Antonio Margarito a little bit, with the way he just comes forward, puts a lot of pressure on you, a lot of physical and mental pressure, because he keeps coming at you, takes the shots, doesn't look to get discouraged at all, no matter what is going on. He's taken. And that can wear on an opponent. So if he's able to withstand shots, if he's able to have that durability, have that physical strength, and be able to impose his will on guys, then you know what? Maybe this style could still suit him well in this weight class. Now, if he moves up to lightweight and junior welterweight, then it's a whole different ballgame, because the guys are bigger, stronger, and they hit harder, and he may not be able to withstand that type of power. But at this weight class, even though this style is very flawed because of the physical attributes that he possesses, that he still could be a champion at this weight class. He still could defend the title here. But the problem with Corrales, as good as he is, as quick, especially with his reflexes, a lot of those herky-jerky movements, those feints, the sit-down move, the little subtle move here, a little subtle move there, really keeps his opponent off balance with all of those little nuances to his game. The one mistake he does make a lot is he will go in that mid-range area of the pocket, and he'll square up, and he'll just stay there often in a lot of instances in fights, and that's where he seems to get caught. In his last fight against Castellanos, I actually thought he lost that fight. I thought Castellanos possibly edged him there. But he did, get caught in exchanges, because when he does decide to, set his feet and stay in there, he gets a little bit too brave, and he squares up, and he's not hard to hit on a lot of occasions because he squares up. But when he's on the outside, when he's going in and out, and when he's moving, when he's throwing those feints, when he's stepping off to the side, the little subtle movements, he's really hard to catch up to. But you have to ask yourself too, in that sixth round, he started to slow down just a bit, and you have to ask yourself, was it because of that catching that shot, or was he just getting tired from moving so much earlier in the fight? And also, as everyone knows, had a problem making weight, didn't make weight for the fight. So it looked like he was loading up a little bit as this fight wore on. He got a little bit comfortable because he couldn't miss Machado, and he started to really, put some mustard on those shots. You end up staying, in one spot for a long time. Takes you a long time to get those power shots off. So if he just, in and out movement, and just, started, really picking and choosing his spots a little bit better, and continued with the pot shotting, which he was so successful with, could he have just coasted to a 12-round decision? It looked as though that was the case, because I had him up by about 4 points. So he was really in control of the fight. Maybe 3 points if you were generous, but he was definitely ahead. And it looked like, if he kept moving in and out, and he did not stay in that pocket long, that he looked like he could have coasted to a decision. Tactical error. Decided that he was going to, exchange and get into a little bit of a firefight. He was looking for the knockout, it looked like, and he was in there with the big guy, Machado. He did hurt Machado, so he probably thought he could have finished him. But, the guy kept coming forward. He did not look discouraged. So at some point, you got to say, maybe this is just going to be a fight where I have to go the distance, and I got to just keep pot shotting and just keep using my speed and my movement advantages and my reflex advantage here, and just coast to a decision. But he didn't do that. So be that as it may, this sport of boxing is the theater of the unexpected. And the guy on paper who's more skilled doesn't always win. And, you can look at guys like Arturo Gatti, Vinny Pazienza, with all due respect, and they gutted fights out, and they won fights, a lot of them, with heart. And you could possibly say that, Machado's power did bail him out. But again, his resilience and his determination and his heart played a big factor in this fight too. So it was a good fight, and it was a shocker at the end. I didn't expect that to happen.
Beeb, let me ask you, what did you make of the weight when Corrales weighed in at 133? I think it was. He was
correct.
Like,
yeah,
over. I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, because you know, in training camp, you know, they're weighing you constantly. You know what you're supposed to weigh. At least that's what you're supposed to do. You can't really blame 3 pounds on the scale. What is that a sign of? Is that a sign of just, I mean, did he, I mean, in your opinion anyway, because we don't know, we're not privy to it, what was the issue there? I mean, is this something where you don't think, I mean, do you think he not, you know, didn't make weight on purpose, or because 3 pounds, I mean, I can understand a pound, but
it's a
lot.
Yeah. So this is my opinion. And again, I stress my opinion. You pretty much know where you're at about 10 days out. And if you're 10 days out and you're above within 6 to 7 pounds of the weight class, if you're still hovering around 10, 11, 12 pounds over, then you may not make the weight. And I think he probably said to himself, you know what, he said to himself, and he had a plan, in my opinion, that, hey, you know what, I'm going to win this fight regardless. This is an easy fight for me on paper. I'm going to move up after this fight, and I can't fight at 130 anyways, so I'll just go through with this fight, get the payday. I was planning on vacating the title anyways because I can't make the weight anymore. So I'll go through with the fight. I'll be over, and then I'll just move up to 135 in my next fight. But Machado threw a monkey wrench in that because he upset him. You go back down there and you rematch him, or you just go right back up to like 135, or go up to 135, I should say, not back up to. So you just go up to 135. Because he looked like that he couldn't believe that he lost. In other words, this was a fight that got away from me. So do you go back down there and avenge it, even though you know you're not going to be comfortable campaigning at this weight anymore, and you had possibly an intention of moving up to 135? I think that he realized, towards the end of this camp that he couldn't make the weight, and he's growing out of division, and I think he made a decision to not make weight. So yeah, that I believe that, and I believe the plan was to just move up after this fight.
That brings up an interesting point. So we always talk about when somebody has a hard time making weight, that they've kind of grown out of the division, and which is a fallacy, because you really kind of stop growing when you're 18. You're not growing at 20 and 22, and I mean you reach a period in your time where you're no longer growing. So I don't really buy into the fact that you're growing. Is this a case of you can't make weight, or what is it? I mean, or you just get, what is it?
Well, again, in my opinion, when you start getting into your 30s, your body changes.
Yeah.
The whole thing that, okay, you stop growing when you're 18 or 21 or whatever the case may be. Yeah. But your body's constantly changing through stages of your life.
Right.
When,
but it just,
your hormones.
When you 26-year-olds say that, or a 25-year-old.
All right. Yeah. I get that. But once you get into that 29, 30-year-old range, your hormones start changing. You start retaining more water.
Yeah.
Your metabolism slows down. And if you don't change the way you eat, training, then you're going to retain more weight. So it's not, and it's crazy too, because as you get older, you lose muscle mass, but it's offset by the fat gain and the water gain. So your body's constantly changing, and even though your bones stop growing, your hormonal changes and your water retention and metabolism and all that type of stuff is constantly changing until you die, unfortunately.
Yeah, right.
That's why you have all these older guys taking PEDs.
Right.
You don't recover as quickly. And because you don't recover as quickly, you can't train as hard, and you can't train as long and as much, so you're not able to burn off those calories as a result of that. And that's another factor. So yeah, you are 100% right. Well, as saying the body stops growing. The body does stop growing, but it never stops changing.
Gotcha. Robert, what was your opinion on Corrales Machado?
Well, first of all, I think they're both going to wind up at 135. And I think if there's a rematch, I think it would be better suited for both of them to be there. It looked like to me both of them no longer belong at 130. Just my opinion.
Big guys.
And if I'm Corrales, I go up to 135 and start having fights there, because I don't think Machado is going to be a long reigning champion at 130. I think he's going to run into the same problem, maybe in a fight or two, where he runs into the problem on the scale where he can no longer make 130. I expect if this fight does take place in the future, it will be at 135 pounds. It was a decent fight for as long as it lasted. I thought Corrales would have won, but I get very irritated when the first thing I hear an announcer say, right when the broadcast starts, oh, by the way, this is no longer a title fight because the champion did not make weight on the scales.
Right.
In other words, one guy is fighting for the title. The other guy is fighting to keep it vacant so two more guys can fight for it later. And I think if you buy tickets to a fight like this, I think it's incumbent upon the ring announcer, when he's making the introductions to the main event, if the champion has lost the title on the scale, to tell the ticket buying audience exactly what happened. Because a lot of people, you know, who are in the audience probably went there thinking they were watching a championship fight. And it was basically a one-sided championship fight, because if one guy won, he got the title. If the other guy won, the title's vacant. I think they need to do a better job of making sure that the boxing public, especially those that buy tickets, know what happens the night of the fight. But yeah, I'll be glad to watch it again. It was a decent fight, but I do believe it will happen at 135. And how effective, Beeb, you're better at breaking these guys down than I am. How effective do you think both of these guys would be at 135 pounds? Do you think they would be competitive in the division, or are they not ready for this stage yet?
I think they'd have a tough time up there because they're both vulnerable to getting hit. And the guys are bigger. They're more accurate with their punches. Harder. So I think both of these guys would have problems at 135. And also Corrales isn't really a big guy. 5'10". He's got a big frame. So the thing is, because the divisions with outside of Lomachenko, the division's really not overly stacked. So
no, it's
the interesting thing about Machado, as I said earlier, is he's so big. He looks to be very durable, very strong, and he can take a lot of punishment. And Lomachenko's not a big puncher. Obviously, if Lomachenko fought him, he would be favored. Obviously, he's the more skilled fighter. But we've seen Lomachenko, and I hate to bring this up because this was a long time ago, against Orlando Salido, against a guy that he had a huge advantage on in terms of skill, speed, athletic ability, all of that. I know that was earlier on. But again, this is a guy who's going to keep coming at you. All right? Now, Lomachenko is disciplined enough. Yeah, he'll pot shot, blah, blah, blah. But, is it out of the realm of possibility to say that Machado won't at least land one of those big left hands? And I think that power in that left hand is real. I like the way he throws it. I see he gets a ton of leverage on it. And he's just a big, strong, imposing guy. To that, I think you're always going to be left saying, can one punch turn this fight? Can he bail himself out? Because he has that ability, because of that left hand, to just turn the fight around, even if he's losing badly. And so it's like Deontay Wilder. And again, I'm not saying he's as on that level with Deontay Wilder with the eraser that he has in his right hand. But look at Deontay Wilder, just looks so bad in fights, and then he'll just land one right hand and it's over. A little bit of that to his style, where he can just turn the fight around because he's durable enough to hang around, number one. And number two, he just puts on that pressure. He can wear guys down because you can't move the whole fight. And if you're forced backward, no one likes to get forced backward. And at some point, if this guy keeps coming forward, you're going to run out of ring. You're not going to always be able to use the escape routes And he's gonna be able to push guys back in this weight class. So I would obviously favor Lomachenko, but I think it'd be interesting to see, because Lomachenko is a lot smaller than Machado, and he doesn't like to fight physical, really. If Machado can push him back and make it kind of a rough and tumble fight like Salido did, can he have some success? But whereas Corrales, he has a little bit of pop, but he's just not that same physically imposing figure that Machado has. So I don't think Corrales could outskill a Lomachenko, but possibly a Machado could outgrit and outgut and just make it a rough and tumble and out physical type fight against Lomachenko. So that's why I think the intrigue lies in this kid because of his size and strength. That's the only thing that makes him interesting. Whereas I don't think Corrales has the skill set to deal with a Lomachenko. And if you don't have the skill set, you're gonna have to look for something else. And I think Machado can look to that left-hand eraser and look to that physical, mental pressure that he brings to the table. Those are things he can use to his advantage. Whereas I don't think there's anything Corrales could do to Lomachenko that would carry him to victory. So, but at 135 against a Mikey Garcia, against Jorge Linares, even Terry Flanagan, I don't think these guys could beat those guys. No, I don't see it.
I tell you what, I thought it was funny with last night on HBO when they kept talking about what was it, Corrales, and about him getting a shot at Lomachenko. And it's just like, I mean, you guys are just like looking for somebody for Lomachenko to fight. Lomachenko will kill either one of these guys. I mean, that's not even close. That's not even up for debate. I don't care if Machado has a big right hand or not. He ain't going to land it. I mean, Machado looked awful in this fight. I thought. I didn't think he looked impressive at all. I thought he was able to land, like you said, that eraser, and that was it. And Corrales, I mean, he's good, but he's nowhere near that level. I don't know, just my 2 cents on it. Let's talk about Demetrius Andrade versus Alentes Fox. Andrade dominates Fox by the scores of 118-110, 118-109, and 116-111. Not the most crowd-pleasing of fights. Fox got credited for a knockdown, but replay showed that he slipped. But overall, what did you think of Andrade's performance? And what do you think is next for him? And can he compete here?
Andrade has the same approach to boxing that Erislandy Lara has, and I think he needs to be in there with someone who's going to press him. I thought his fight against Vanes Martirosyan was very entertaining. Willie Nelson was very entertaining because those guys pressed him. They came forward. They came to fight him. He won every round on my card against Fox, well, except for that bogus knockdown round that wasn't really even a knockdown.
Right.
He was able to hurt Fox, but Fox, he fought very defensively, threw very few punches, and saying, why doesn't Andrade just, put his foot on the gas pedal and get this guy out of here? Because this guy did not look like he wanted to really fight. I'm not going to question the guy's heart because I'm not the one in the ring. I'm not the one taking the punches. But he looked like he was mentally taken out of this fight. He looked like he was intimidated. He couldn't deal with Andrade's hand speed, and he was afraid to throw punches because Andrade is a really, really skilled counterpuncher. And that's where he's most comfortable, when he's in that counterpunch role. And I think that's why this fight played out the way it played. And I think Fox got hurt early, and he knew that he could be hurt in this fight. So he was a little bit hesitant to be aggressive because of that. And Andrade, as I said, with the same mentality as Erislandy Lara, who likes to primarily be the counterpuncher, it's not his instinct to try to bomb a guy out of there. This was probably a fight where, maybe you could have bombed the guy out of there. It looked like you were going to bomb the guy out of there in the first round. To Fox, he hung in there. He did just enough to survive. Covered up. he moved a little bit. He stayed out of range the best he could. He was still getting tagged, and Andre was just going in and out on him. He was landing the jab. He was landing 1-2 combinations, and he was happy doing that. He was happy doing that. Early on, he was going to the body once he hurt Fox, but for the most part, he was stepping forward, planting his feet, center of the ring, and just firing from a distance. Really try to push Fox back. He made no attempt to really try to impose his will on Fox. He just wanted to win the fight. And, it's hard to criticize a guy who virtually won every round. But you know what? This was a fight where a guy offered up no resistance. And these are the types of fights where you have to shine. And I don't think anyone's going to be banging down the doors to see, Demetrius Andre fight again, unless he's going to be in there with a Canelo or a Golovkin. Outside of those guys, maybe a Jamal Charlo, maybe he's going to have to be in there with a strong opponent for people to get excited about him, because nothing he did last night really made people say, "Hey, I want to go see this guy again." I would love to see him again if he could get a big name opponent. Hopefully that's the case. He signed a multi-fight deal with HBO. I'm sure that they have some plans for him. Maybe a Danny Jacobs fight is down the road. Who knows? But if he could get those types of fights, then yeah, I'm excited. But if not, I don't know what the plan is for him with HBO, unless they're just going to have him be a filler. I don't know. But hopefully he's going to get a big fight, and hopefully because of that, there was a reason behind the signing. And hopefully they're looking for some big name opponent. Maybe even the winner of David Lemieux, Billy Joe Saunders. That wouldn't even be a bad fight either. So hopefully there's something big down the road for him.
Yeah, I'm sure HBO is just overjoyed that they signed him for a multi-fight deal after that fight last night. Robert, what did you think of Andrade's performance?
First of all, nothing against Andre. He did what he was supposed to do here. But I've seen Fox fight a few times on Showbox, and I was never impressed. Never. And Fox got what he deserved here. The only thing that would have been better is if he was put to sleep. But frankly, Andre
got what he deserved.
Andre And hey, I tell it like it is. But he loses to the following people without doubt. He loses to Canelo. He loses to Triple G. He loses to Daniel Jacobs. He loses to Charlo. He loses to David Lemieux. And he might even lose to Billy Joe Saunders.
Who, Andre?
Billy Joe Saunders is like a cupcake.
Who, Andre?
Yeah.
Andre loses to all those guys?
Yeah, that's what he says.
I think the movement would give this guy trouble, because he should have put this guy away. He did. He loved cruising for 12 rounds. It was disgusting to watch. And luckily, it's only a 3-fight deal, and we have 2 more fights left. Let's get him over with and get him out of there.
So let me ask you this: you don't think there's any way, shape, or form that he could beat a Canelo or a David Lemieux or a Billy Joe Saunders? You don't think that interesting that skill wise he brings a lot to the table against those guys?
No, they're interesting for as long as they last. But with Canelo, if you're going to beat him, you move. You got to move constantly, and nobody's really been successful at doing that except Floyd. If you
what about Lara? What about Lara? We thought Lara won that fight. You don't think that well? You don't think that he could box well?
Last night he didn't show it. I mean, I expected him to go out and do what he normally does, and he didn't do that here. He didn't show boxing skills. He basically took this guy as a payday, and I'm really surprised HBO approved this, because every time I've seen Fox Showtime, he sucked.
Let me ask you this now. $1 million question, Fred, about what Andre did as opposed to what Lara did in his previous fight that we watched. And we were saying,
in which fight?
in Lara's last fight. What was so different about Andre's performance versus Lara's performance? Where you guys
difference? I don't think there was any difference.
No, I don't.
Because everyone was saying. Let me finish it.
Okay,
Everyone was saying that this is how Lara fights. We shouldn't be surprised. We should expect it. And he was in there with an overmatched opponent too, and he pretty much coasted. So why are we dumping on Andre for coasting, and we're not, and we really weren't too critical of Lara coasting in his fight? Because they virtually did the same thing.
Yeah, but we've seen better from Andre.
I think the major difference here
much better
is Lara was a main event fight and Andre wasn't.
Well, okay then. So there was more incentive for Lara to do better in his fight than Andre, really.
But Lara didn't do that, you know.
So we gave.
I don't know.
We didn't give Lara the same criticism we gave Andre. That's what I'm saying. We didn't give Lara the same criticism we're giving Andre, and I think it's the same type of situation, but we're not talking about the same situation.
Yeah, I disagree. I think we did give Lara the same treatment. I'll be honest with you. I think we did, because here.
Well, I think Robbie said that we should. That's how Lara fights, and we should just expect it. So he wasn't too critical of Lara.
Well, no, what I did not like about what they did with Lara is they made him the main event fighter, and I was basically getting on the crowd for what they were doing. My point was with the Lara fight, Joe, if you're going to buy tickets and you know that Andres Lara is the main event fighter, you know what you're going to get.
Oh, okay. I get you. Crowd responded. They were. It's almost like they expected something different, whereas the crowd really didn't play an impact in this fight. No one was really booing. No one was doing anything. All right.
Exactly. See, that's my problem with the whole thing. If you're going to buy tickets to a fight in New York City, or Brooklyn, is where Lara's fight was, and you know that he's the main event fighter, you should be an educated boxing fan if you're going to buy tickets to a fight and he's the main event fighter, instead of halfway through the fight saying how boring he is. If you don't like it, you shouldn't buy the tickets in the first place.
So here's another $1 million question before I pass the ball back to Eric. Should we expect more from Andre moving forward, or is this who Andre is, and is this going to be part of the course for him with this HBO 3-fight deal?
Well, the problem I have with Andre is he's only had 4 fights in the last 4 years. I think a fighter like Andre and a fighter like Lara, they need to be more active, because if you're going to fight a certain style, you got to keep your skills sharp, and you can only do so much in the gym. So if HBO is going to give him, a contract for a multi-fight deal, then it's their responsibility, and whoever his promoter is, to match him up with the right opponents. I mean, if you're going to spend money on a guy, put him in against fighters where we can see his skills. Fox is not going to bring out any special skills. Like I said, you're better at breaking down fights than I am, Joe, but frankly, Fox didn't offer any kind of resistance. He was just there to collect a paycheck. If you're gonna employ a Demetrius Andrade, I want to see him actually earn his money. Am I making sense here?
I got you.
There you go. Let's talk about the fight of the night here, which what I thought anyway was the fight of the night, and that was Ryan Burnett. It took place in Ireland. Ryan Burnett versus Zanat Zakhayanov, or we call him ZZ. This entire fight, man, these two stood in front of each other and just banged it out. I was really surprised that Burnett stayed in the middle like that. I expected, ZZ to just pressure him all night, which he did, but Burnett pushed back also. I thought he did a great job. I thought Burnett did a great job. I can't wait to see him again, man. If you saw round 1, you kind of saw them all. It was that kind of fight. The difference in this fight to me was that Burnett was just a little bit more versatile than Zakhayanov. And to me, that was a difference in the fight. I mean, you got two high-level guys here. And if you're watching maybe the first, 3-4 rounds, it looks really even. As the fight goes on, you see Burnett do little things to kind of change the tide of the fight, lands more shots, cleaner shots, that kind of thing, the movement. Final scores were 118, 110, 119, 109. All these scores I thought were a little wide. And 116, 112, which is more on par anyway. But Ryan Burnett wins and unifies the titles. Beeb, what were your thoughts on Burnett Zakhayanov?
It looked real sloppy for the first 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah.
And, Burnett was holding excessively. But here's the thing, and I'm going to call him ZZ because what Zakhayanov is kind of, well, I guess I could pronounce it Zakhayanov. He was coming forward with his head a lot. Like he was lunging forward, and he was bending at the waist a little bit, and he was leaning in with his head and leaning in with his forearms and elbows. I'm not saying he was intentionally trying to fight dirty, but he was just mauling forward very awkwardly. And I think that caught Burnett off guard a little bit. Maybe he was even concerned about possibly getting a headbutt or getting caught with an elbow or a shoulder in the face or what have you. So I think he had to hold him and just use that as a preemptive move to not get hurt with anything crazy, like get fouled and maybe get cut, and he may not be able to continue the fight. Later on, he started gauging the space a little bit better. So as Zakhayanov came forward, they were still in the center of that ring a little bit, but he would make that little adjustment where he would slide back and just create enough space where he could get his shots off, where Zakhayanov was smothering his work. So he was just coming forward, and it takes him a lot of time to get established inside and get his feet set, whereas Burnett was just a little bit more fluid. He was quicker. He could get set better, and he was able to establish his distance a little bit better. Little subtle moves, a half step back, step off to the side a little bit, boom, come with an uppercut here, and he was more fluid with his punches. He was putting shots together, and he was switching it up a little bit. He was going downstairs. He was throwing those short uppercuts on the inside. So he started feeling comfortable because Zakhayanov was becoming predictable with his attacks. So he was just coming straight forward. So what Burnett started doing was, all I got to do is step off to the side and just create myself a little bit of space, and I'm going to be able to get my punches off. And once he, did that, it was a wash. He was just basically landing at will, and he was landing the better shots, and he was landing in combination. Whereas Zakhayanov really was just trying to throw one punch at a time, if that, and he really wasn't able to get established offensively at all in this fight because he just couldn't get his feet set and couldn't get in his comfort zone, and he was not allowed to establish himself on the inside. But it was funny because I expected Burnett to probably fight more on the outside, but he was fighting up close, and he was fighting up close very effectively because he was making those little subtle adjustments. And I was impressed with him because he did not lose his composure with the awkwardness and just the sloppiness of Zakhayanov's style, because a lot of guys would get frustrated with that. They would get taken out of their game, but Burnett did not get taken out of his game, and I thought he fought very well from the 4th round on, and I thought it was a dominating performance. It was a clear victory for him.
There you go. Robert, what were your thoughts on Ricky Hatton in the corner? I mean, it seemed to be in the instructions that he was given Zakhayanov throughout the fight.
I think he made a better commentary than a commentator than Max Kellerman in this fight. I mean, I'd love to listen to him for 12 rounds. Entertaining to say the least. I don't know if he's exactly giving his fighter the right instructions a lot of times, because in the beginning of the fight, he would say, "Oh, you're doing okay. It's a competitive fight," and then later on, he'd go, "Okay, you realize you're in his hometown, right? You got to knock him out. You know that. You're not going to win anything on the scorecards," is basically what he's saying. It's like, okay, Ricky, what fight are you watching? Is he being competitive, or does he need a knockout? It's like, but you know, I don't know how long Ricky Hatton has been a trainer. If this is something he just started to do, but you know, I don't know if he was directing his fighter properly in that fight. Now, you saw him. You saw his fighter against Rashid Warren. Did you get to hear Eric in the corner the kind of instructions he was giving in that fight, or is this something Ricky always does?
You know what? I didn't, because I was there live, so I wasn't privy to what was going on in the corner and that kind of thing. But I know in that fight he really pressed, and Rashid had a lot of trouble with him. He had a lot of trouble with the pressure that he got put on and everything like that. So that's kind of his bread and butter, is that pressure. Okay,
well, is this a good fit for him, Ricky Hatton training him, or does he need a different kind of trainer? You know, I really don't know.
Yeah, I think it is a good fit for him. I do. I think it is. I mean, they've been together for a while now, I think. Yeah, I think it's a good fit for him. I really do.
They have a lot of similarities in their styles. I mean, Ricky was a grinder too. I mean, he was a guy that if he couldn't be successful on the inside, then he pretty much had a long night ahead of him. And this is the same type of style of fighter, man.
Yeah, right.
Well, Beeb, you watched the fight. Did you think Ricky was giving him the proper instructions throughout the fight? Because there were times what are you talking about, Ricky? That's what I'd say. So, you know.
No, you made a great point, Robbie. Lie to your fighter. And he basically was telling his fighter that this fight was close when it wasn't. A fight is close. You never tell a guy he's winning. Look what happened with Marquez against Pacquiao. He was told he was winning, and what did he do? He basically took the last round or last 2 rounds off in that fight that he lost a majority decision, which I still thought he won the fight, but you know, he could have put the finishing touches on it and totally, you know, put a stamp on it. Where, you know, so you got to tell your fighter the truth, and if you don't, the only time you lie to a fighter is when he starts doubting himself. Like if you think that he's not giving you everything he has, and he looks like he wants to quit when you feel. And this is really a hairy situation, because you're not really in there and you're not feeling the punches. But if you feel like a fighter can do more and he's not giving you more, then you got to tell him that. But you don't lie to him and tell him he's winning when he's not winning. You don't lie to him and tell him the fight's close when it's not close. And even if the fight is close and you still think he's winning, you got to tell him, hey, you know what? Let's go out there and win, you know, clearly and definitively, so we don't have any you know, judges controversy or scorecard controversy. So yeah, it served him no benefit. It served him no purpose to tell him this fight was close when it most definitely was not. And you could see the scorecards, you know, totally represented that it wasn't close.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, no, he was entertaining to listen to. I just didn't know whether he was actually doing his fighter any favor. Well, in the beginning, he talked about how well he was doing, and then in the middle of the fight, he goes, you know, by the way, we are in his hometown, and you are going to need a knockout. I was like, wait a minute, Ricky, what kind of fight are you watching? It's been this way throughout this fight.
And it's tough for Zakhaev too, because he went to Toledo to fight Rashid Warren, which is basically a home fight for Rashid, and goes to Ireland to fight this guy, and it was just like, wow. I mean, he's really had a tough road ahead of him. So, you know, hey, hats off to him. Yeah. He's definitely a road warrior.
He's a limited guy, and that's just the way it is, and it's going to be tough for him to make some noise.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Now, how successful is Burnett going to be now that he's got 2 belts here?
He looked good.
Is he going to be the kind of fighter that's going to dominate this division, or is there other guys that are going to give him trouble at 118?
I don't know, man. He looked pretty good. I got to be honest, man. I didn't think that he was going to get past this fight, man, but he did it, and he did so in impressive fashion. I thought he looked pretty good. So, yeah, I think he's
yeah, I love the adjustments he made, and I liked how he maintained his composure under that type of pressure that was being applied to him. And it's tough, man, when you're in there with a guy that's making the fight sloppy, and that could frustrate anybody, and I didn't frustrate him, so I was impressed with that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go to the World Boxing Super Series. Murat Gaziev versus Krzysztof Wlodarczyk. Gaziev ended this fight in the third round with two of the most solid body shots, two left hooks.
Oh.
I'm watching TV and I just winced when I saw him, man. I was like,
Yeah.
wow. Put Wlodarczyk down for the count. Gaziev will now face Junior Dorticos in the semifinals. Man, I can't wait to watch that fight. That is going to be a monster fight. That is going to be really good.
Oh yeah.
The problem though is on the other side. You got Alexander Usyk, and I think he beats everybody easily. But hey, those fights still got to take place, man. A lot of things go on. Beeb, when you did you wince when you saw those body shots too?
I lost my lunch, man. Those things were, oh my God. Oh,
that was
like getting hit with a stiletto twice.
Oh man,
twice in the gut. Oh
yeah, that was
brutal, man.
That was rough, man. Robert, what did you think of Gaziev?
Well, it was interesting watching this broadcast. As I told Eric before the show, Eric said he watched it with some foreign language feed. On DirecTV, they put all these fights on the audience channel. And in the last few weeks, it's been, the British broadcasters. But since this one was in New Jersey, they didn't have anybody at ringside. There was nobody to analyze. There was nobody doing play-by-play. It was a straight feed. And I tell you, you could actually hear in the crowd, when everything would happen. You could hear what the crowd was saying, what the corners were saying. And when he threw those body shots, since there was nobody talking, you could clearly hear how devastating they were. It's like, okay, I think that's my cue to go to sleep, because I knew as soon as he got hit with both of those body shots, there was no way he was getting up. No way.
Yeah, they were wicked, man. Wicked body shots. So, you want to watch. So there was no, and again, I was watching a foreign language feed of it. So you didn't hear anything on there. There was no on DirecTV. There was no commentary or anything.
There was no broadcasters whatsoever. Now you got to see the British people do interviews with the fighters, but they had no blow by blow. Nobody at ringside to do analysis. No nothing. All you heard was in the prelim fights, Ray Flores was the ring announcer, and then for the main event, they brought out David Diamante. You got to hear whatever the ring announcer said, but no play-by-play, no blow-by-blow. It was almost like you were sitting in the Prudential Center in New Jersey and you had bought a ticket. It was almost like judging a fight without any influence. I tell you what, boxing fans that complain about various people like Max Kellerman and Paulie and the way a lot of us like to do, you need to watch this card, because you had absolutely nobody influencing your opinion. You had to decide on your own what you were seeing, and it's almost like, okay, if you want to judge fights, this is how you have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's odd, though. What is going on with the suit? It seems like this is the coolest thing, because I don't know about you guys. I like that tournament format. I think a lot of people do, man. Like that, the tournament. I like it too, man.
I do.
It seems like they're dropping the ball big time though on the television. It really does. I mean, they're dropping the ball big time on production, on TV. I mean, it's like, and we'll talk about where the finals are going to be held and everything. And I think they dropped the ball big time on that. That actually should be our train wreck of the week, honestly. But I tell you,
yeah,
it was it just seems like they just they've got like this great idea in front of you, and it just like crumbles. I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
Well, what I don't understand, Eric, is Richard Schaefer, the guy that runs Ringstar Sports. He made a deal with Showtime, and then didn't want to pay Showtime the money, so they pulled out of the deal. Ever since then, they've been scrambling around to find somebody to cover this. Luckily, the people at DirecTV, they love boxing. They own the audience channel. they stepped up. They said, okay, we'll carry these. And like I said, the last few weeks, it's been the British broadcasters, which I don't mind. I love those guys. They're straight. They're honest. They're not promoting anybody. They're just talking about the fights. That's the way it should be. But here's a card in the United States, in New Jersey, and yet there was no Americans at ringside. They had no feed of nobody doing any kind of analysis or blow-by-blow or anything. When I first saw this, because I recorded this last night, when I first saw this, I'm like, did I do something wrong in the recording? But no, that's just how they had it set up. And I don't know what look, I'm glad we see the fights, but I really want to know what they're doing on the media side of things. I'm sure other people,
Nothing.
you know, like a Steve Kim or others that sometimes do, you know, color analysis or something on TV. I'm sure they're laughing at Dick Schaefer here going, well, how much more can you screw this up? You know,
he's really Eddie Hearn it, man. I tell you what, I mean, because he's just dropping the ball big time on this thing, man.
We're doing great things, man. You see how we even got a fight last night on HBO.
I do know we get Beeb.
Look at that, man. Look at that. We had a fight on HBO last night.
Yeah. It's like Eddie Hearn is running the whole boxing series thing.
One deal flows into another deal. That's how we do it, man, at Matchroom.
All right, let's go to the phones here before we get to the rest of the fights here. 773, you're live. 773.
Hi, guys. Dale.
Hey, Dale, what's going on?
Yeah, what's happening?
Hi, nothing. Just walking down 35th Street here.
Nice.
No, yeah, it was good. Good week. Yeah, I haven't had a call in the last few weeks, but been listening.
Yeah.
And like some of your points, and just kind of, I guess, jumping back onto the World Boxing Super Series. The great idea. By and large, the fights have been great. You know, when I go look them up online because they're not on TV or they're an audience now, but kind of weird. I've heard Schaefer did a couple of interviews this last week, a couple other podcasts, and touched them. Didn't really talk much about the Showtime thing, but he was talking about, oh, well, you know, it costs money to put this kind of thing on, and I think it sounded like he was saying he needed, you know, some funding from the networks, and they were like, no, we're not going to do that. And then luckily his audience stepped in and said, yeah, whatever you need, we love it, we're going to do it. So that's cool. But like how Robbie said, I'm like you and Beeb. I pulled up some foreign language feed. I watched that. I'm not exactly sure on the language. It was some Eastern European language, probably Russian or Polish, I'm guessing, based on the fighters. But yeah. So but Gassiev, man, he is a killer. Those I'm like you guys. Those body shots. I was like, oh my God, you are not. That's done. Yeah, I mean those were brutal. Those were. So he can show you. He can put you way upstairs or downstairs. So he's got some ridiculous power.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I remember that Jordan Schimmel, you know, knockout of the year candidate. I don't know if you guys remember that one. That guy from from Grand Rapids, I think, or Detroit. But that was one of the more brutal ones I've seen. He's got a freaking eraser. So
yeah, he can.
But yeah, I like this. I love the tournament. It's fun, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, Eric.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna say. I mean, you know, it's like you said. I mean, it's fun and everything, but you know, I just feel like they're really dropping the ball on promotion and everything like that. And Champ Ross is in the chat saying that the arena in New Jersey was half empty. I don't know. I don't know.
It was.
Yeah, and I don't know what the attendance was and everything like that. But you know, these aren't like I don't know. I mean, you know, they're good fights and they're top level guys. The undercard was fairly decent, but yeah, I mean, it just didn't seem like they're being promoted properly. You know, I don't know, but yeah,
you know, I honestly felt like, and I don't know how you guys feel, including Dale here, but I almost felt like this fight didn't belong in the U.S. It's, you know, because especially especially the cruiserweights. A lot of the United States boxing fans don't know who a lot of these cruiserweights are, unless
Good
you're
point.
hardcore like us. But it's almost like watching last night's fight. People didn't show up because they didn't know who these guys were.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, maybe they were hoping, oh, we'll get enough, you know, Polish and Russian community, you know, in the tri-state area, which there's plenty there from what I understand. But yeah, that's I mean, if that's all you're going on, yeah, you're right. It probably would have been made sense to have it in Europe, because those cruiser, I mean, over there, that, you know, those guys are known, and those cruiserweight fights do pretty well over there. So that's a good point. And yeah, you guys kind of touched on just real quick some of the other fights. Jezreel Corrales, if the Richard Schaefer TV deal is in your train record week, maybe he can be losing his title on the scale and then getting knocked out.
After winning, he was winning the fight too and gets KO'd. Exactly.
Exactly.
And then during the interview, he tries to hijack the interview. I want a rematch. And Kellerman's like, we're doing something else here. Gave him a little paintbrush, pushed him off. We're doing something else.
I didn't even see that. That's great.
Oh yeah, he was like Kellerman gets pissed when like people interrupt his interviews. I don't blame him, but it's just funny. It's just funny watching him do it when he gets angry.
That's
awesome. Like not angry, but he gets like
that was
a little miffed. That was hilarious.
I'm glad you brought that up, dude. That cracked me up when I saw that.
Oh, I was laughing my ass off. Hey, we're doing something else here.
There, pal. You just totally.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Get out of here, buddy. You lost.
Have a nice day. You know.
Yeah.
See you next Tuesday.
We'll see you later,
Hey,
buddy. All right.
like,
Thanks for coming.
Exactly. That was awesome. It was an awesome diss. And, you know, people like to rip on Kellerman or whatever, and I completely understandably, but total props for that one.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, and it's also like, yeah, hey, dude, A, you don't deserve. Nobody wants to see this rematch. A, B, you do not deserve a rematch with anybody at this point. So yeah.
Well, Robbie made a good point that, you know, both these guys should do it at 135, but now Machado's got a title at 130, so wouldn't he be better suited to defend that title before moving up at least one or two times, maybe? I know.
I would think so.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's it's not necessarily that many easy pickings at 130. I don't know. So
yeah.
But yeah, you got the title. What the hell, man? Try to defend it.
Yeah.
You know?
Why give up that selling point?
I'm gonna give him a cupcake, but
no.
Oh, I'm sure Beeb he'll defend it. It's just a question of who's he going to defend it against, you know?
Yeah.
Because as you said, besides Lomachenko, who's there to fight, you know?
No, it's not a stacked division.
yeah, and that would be just you know, hellacious. Like like you guys said it earlier. Yeah, he might have some power, not right, but he's not touching Lomachenko.
No.
No.
He's not touching half the guys in that division.
Yeah, I guess,
man.
you know, come to think about it, yeah, 130 is pretty thin. Besides Loma, it gets pretty thin.
I mean,
right.
what honestly has to happen, guys, and I don't know how soon it will, but some of the guys from 126 need to finally go up to 130 to make 130 more interesting. I don't know, but you know, that's the point that 130 has reached. Pretty much, it's pretty bare.
Barren. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Some good dudes at 26. So yeah, go after it. Go take that belt from Machado.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, it was good. And then Ryan Burnett, Double Z, Kazakhstan gave us Triple G. Now they give us Double Z, and that was fun because I remember that when the Rasheed Warren fight, and I was like, man, this guy is freaking unstoppable, man. He's, you know, this is great, and I like Rasheed Warren, and you know, Titletown. There you go. Aaron.
There it is, Titletown, baby.
But you know, I was like, oh, you know, when I heard about this fight, like, oh, this is gonna be cool, and it turned out, yes, it was the best fight of that card they showed. But Yeah, kind of like the punch you mean. Like really weird, just like nothing, just forward, head, elbows, the whole thing. And I thought it was kind of cool, hearing Andre Ward do the commentary, do the color on that, because he can speak to some of that too. But he's just a little better at it. But yeah, hats off to Burnett, man. He adjusted. He looked good and made it happen. Looked pretty slick. And I was that one I scored, and I had to win it by 2 rounds. I didn't have it the sweep that everyone else had, but whatever. But yeah, I think he can. Robbie was talking about, is he going to be like a guy that can, defend the title and be a star? I kind of think so. He looked pretty freaking good. I mean, and like you said, Beeb, to have that composure, you got a guy like that. That's a pain in the ass when you got a guy like that, all up in your grill all night, never stopping, Energizer Bunny style. And you can just kind of roll with it and adjust. I mean, yeah. So I don't know. Could be good things ahead for him, and I'm excited to see Double Z again too. Whatever, but yeah, maybe he just kind of met his match. Burnett was just a little was able to figure it out and do his thing. So, but anyway, they're fun. I'm looking forward to next week, and I guess that's that.
All right,
Carlos Takam.
That's right. The powerful Carlos Takam. See how that goes down, man.
What a great matchup that is, baby.
Yeah, right. Eddie Hearn does it again. Special. Eddie Hearn special.
I will say with Joshua, I know I'll let you go. I'm sure you got callers waiting. The Wilder thing you touched on last week or the week before. Who isn't a Joshua fan? I mean, come on. But when he was like, when I'm ready with that, and to fight, Wilder might be down the road, I appreciate the honesty. It was like, dude, you don't want to really say that. But I heard recently he kind of backed on track a little bit on that and said, hey, after this Takam fight in Cardiff, I'm willing to, my next fight in 2018, I'd be willing to do Wilder, and I'd even go to the U.S. for it. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
good.
That would be awesome if that's true.
These guys both need each other, man. I mean, after a while, people are going to get sick of some of these one-sided matchups. No question about it. No question about it.
100%. And Wilder, you could say there's definitely he needs a real test and all that. But boy, a lot of it is really not his fault, man. People just keep pissing hot, and like you can't really blame them. So
yeah, no, you
but
can't.
Now hopefully he gets. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't blame him at all.
He should have had a couple real tests here, but
yeah, I mean, he's done everything right. I mean, he really has. I mean, he's done everything right in the sense that he's got the guys up there. I mean, he's got 3 guys. I mean, what can he do? I mean, there's not much he can do. I would have liked to seen them call over Dylan White to fight him, but it is what it is. I mean, it's short notice. Different promoters. There are a lot of things go into it, man. So. Just because we want to see it, and the guy seems available isn't always the case, Plus Eddie Hearn is, with Dillian White, so that fight's not going to get made. So
that's promoter boxing.
Is what it is. All right, Dan, we're going to get running, man. Anyway, we appreciate your call, man.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Good deal. Good deal. Now let's talk about the fight of the week. The fight that you just had to watch. Cecilia Brakehouse versus Michaela Lauren. That's right. I said it. Cecilia Brakehouse, and for those of you who don't know, the presser was this week. Fight was this weekend, but the presser was this week. Cecilia Brakehouse was facing off with Michaela Lauren for their upcoming fight when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Michaela Lauren leaned in and kissed Brakehouse square on the lips. If you saw it, it's a scene that can only be described as, I don't know, totally hot. All right. Brakehouse then slapped Michaela during the exchange. It wasn't like a hard smack. It was just more of a, like a light get away from me kind of thing. And she went to the other side of the stage and just kind of she giggled, but she was real nervous about it. It looked real uncomfortable for her or whatever. I watched it numerous times, and it did look uncomfortable for her. Beeb, did you happen to see this?
I did. I actually did. I don't really want to reveal my thoughts on it, but no. No, I thought it was kind of funny, man. I laughed. I thought it was funny. And
how many times did you end up watching it?
I can't really reveal that. But yeah, I did. I thought it was funny. I laughed.
Yeah, I laughed too. I was laughing too on the inside.
That's okay. Lisa and Linda are having fun at you guys' expense.
Please, Robbie.
Yeah, I heard about it this week, Robert. Yeah, I heard it plenty this week from Lisa. So yeah. So I'll be on the couch, I'm sure.
That was funny.
So at this point, I mean, Beeb, now after seeing this, you had to watch the fight, right? I mean, it's like you had to be glued to the TV for your fight, because at this point, man, I don't know what's going to break out. I don't know what's going to transpire in the fight. You know what I mean? So I got to check it out.
Yeah.
So, undisputed female welterweight world champion Breakhouse looked amazing. 6th-round TKO over Michaela Lauren to retain her WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO belts on Saturday night in Norway. She looked amazing, man. She looked so sound technically. I don't know who can beat her, if anybody. She's the undisputed welterweight champion and is fighting in Norway, gets absolutely no press over there, no run.
No.
Honestly, this is the best thing that could happen to the fight, because otherwise I really wouldn't have been interested in it. Once she kissed her, I was all over that fight. I couldn't miss it. Couldn't miss it. But, I mean, you know, anytime Breakhouse fights, man, it is, you know, if you haven't seen her fight, man, go watch her fight, man. She is really, really good. And all joking about the press and everything like that aside, you can't mess with her, man. I mean, she's a sound boxer. I mean, one of the best in the world. And I don't understand why she doesn't get credit for it being one of the best in the world. And it blows my mind. I mean, she's a, you know, I mean, she really is a promoter's dream. I mean, she's a very pretty lady. She can fight. I mean, she's got, you know, she seems like a nice person, you know. I mean, I don't know, man. It seems like, I don't know. Is Eddie Hearn managing her? I mean, what's going on? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the situation with her, but no, I think. Oh, I know who's Sauerland. The Sauerlands are managing her.
Sauerland's horrible.
They promote her. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, yeah, they're promoting her right now.
And they're big over in Germany. They're big overseas and everything, but they
do a good job over there, but they just they don't branch out. They don't branch out like we do at Matchroom.
Like we do at Matchroom.
Like we'll come over to the States and put some fights on. The Sauerlands never do that.
You know, I was shocked. I was shocked.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Mr. Matchroom, why didn't you offer Dylan White to Deontay Wilder? Why are we stuck with Bermain Stavern?
It's a good question.
We did offer, but Deontay Wilder did not want to fight Dylan White. and also, let's take a look at that now. With all due, again, I'm not going to get in this heated debate with these Deontay Wilder fans, but would it be safe to say that Dillian White would beat anyone on Deontay Wilder's resume right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yes, I think he would. Right?
So to dismiss Dillian White as a challenger to the title, I think is totally off base, in my own humble opinion.
Well, look before Klitschko, Joe. Dylan White gave Anthony Joshua probably his toughest fight.
That was his toughest fight by far.
Yeah.
I mean, by far, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, if he did that with Joshua, why doesn't he? I mean, I still look. I understand. I've been doing this long enough. I understand about mandatories and all this garbage. But Bermain Stavern, let's be honest, he held on to this ranking by fighting Derek Rossi 2 years ago. This doesn't make sense to me. Dylan White has been beating everybody that Eddie puts in front of him. I mean, come on. He deserves a shot at the Bronze Bomber. I mean, we're going to get stuck with a fight that's going to put us to sleep. Let's be honest.
No. Robert piling on. It's terrible. All right, let's talk about the non-fight of the week here. And that was Glenn Tapia versus Gabriel Rosado. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this one for obvious reasons.
Do we have to?
Yeah, right. Gabe Rosado stops Glenn Tapia in the 6th round. Glenn Tapia is going to get killed out there, man. And so is Rosado as soon as he steps up in class. And he shouldn't step up in class. That's the point. Yeah, anybody have any thoughts?
Both of these guys, let's be honest, both of these guys should not be licensed to fight anymore. Period.
Yeah, hard to argue.
Yeah, I seen up and coming talents Thursday night when I watched the Evander Holyfield show that was more entertaining than what ESPN2 decided to put on Thursday night. I got more entertainment as being a true boxing fan out of people I'd never heard of than watching two guys that should no longer be in the ring. They should no longer be licensed. They should be. Their license should be taken away, and their careers should be forced to be over. Neither one of them have anything to offer anymore, especially if they're going to be on TV. I don't want to see neither one of these guys ever again.
Seeing Glenn Tapia take these shots that he takes, because at least I'm going to defend Rosado a little bit. At least he tucks his chin. At least he's got a little bit of defensive abilities, and he can fight a little bit. Let's be honest. He's not a bad fighter. He's a guy. He's not a world beater, but he's a solid guy. He's probably a lower top 10 guy, possibly. But Glenn Tapia, I get nervous watching him fight, seeing his head and neck snap back. I'm telling you, man, this guy. I'm not saying these things to wish bad on anyone. Please, that's not the message here. But if you're a family member of Glenn Tapia, if you're a close friend, and just say, "Hey, Glenn, this just ain't working anymore, buddy. You got to do something else," because he is really taking these shots flush, and he's getting badly beaten.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting badly beaten. So they got to make a real serious decision. And there was one instance with I talked about before with Evander Holyfield not being able to get licensed in New York because of diminished skills. It's going to have to get to a point with this Tapia kid. And even if you're a promoter, you have to have some common decency within yourself to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to put this guy out there anymore and watch him get beat up like this. You got to stop. It's got to stop.
Agreed.
Commission's got to step in too.
Yeah, they should. They got it. This is where, like, when you have, like, you kind of wish boxing was almost like, how the UFC is under one branch and you have those guys, and when they take a beating like that or when they're not ready, they'll cut them. I mean, they'll cut them.
Yeah.
3 losses in your cut zone.
Exactly.
And you kind of wish they had something like that here, but it is what it is. So, yeah, hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully we don't see them, but it is what it is.
It's got to stop.
Heather Hardy, former boxing champion, was in Bellator in the MMA last night, or this weekend, actually. I guess maybe it was last night. I don't know. It was last night or Friday. I don't know what it was. Heather Hardy fought in Bellator against Christina Williams and was stopped in the 2nd round. I was shocked at how she looked in this fight, man. She was outgunned on her feet. She lost virtually every exchange. She looked really bad, man. I hate to say that, but that's the only way to describe it. This was not her first MMA fight, so maybe she just had a bad night. And Christina Williams looked pretty good too. But, I mean, she was bleeding like a stuck pig. I mean, just gushed out of her nose. There's a picture of her on Twitter. She's got like 2 black eyes and looks pretty banged up. She said she'll get back in the gym tomorrow morning. Yeah, I don't know, man. She ran into a buzzsaw, that's for sure. So
yeah, she met her match yesterday.
Yeah, for sure, man. That was a rough one. So, all right, let's go ahead and talk about the upcoming fights on October 27th, which is a Friday. Yes, Robert? Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Mexico City on Robert's favorite channel, Telemundo. Antonio Moran versus Salvador Braceno, 10 rounds lightweights. And on the Audience Network for the World Boxing Super Series from Germany, Jürgen Bremer versus Rob Brandt, 12 rounds, super middleweights. That's the quarterfinals. The super middleweight quarterfinals. And then let's see here. The big one on October 28th, Saturday on Showtime. Anthony Joshua versus Carlos Takam, 12 rounds for Joshua's IBF and WBA heavyweight title. Kao Yafai on the card versus Sho Ishida, 12 rounds for Yafai's WBA junior bantamweight title. Dillian White versus Robert Halinas, 12 rounds heavyweights. Lenroy Thomas on the card versus David Allen, rematch, 12 rounds for Thomas's Commonwealth heavyweight title. Frank Buglioni versus Callum Johnson, 12 rounds for Buglioni's British and Johnson's Commonwealth light heavyweight titles. And Lawrence Okoli back in action. He's a cruiserweight against the dreaded TBA. Joshua Buatsi, a light heavyweight, 6 rounds against the dreaded TBA also. So that looks to be a good card, man. Hopefully they show it on maybe Show Extreme or something like that, and we get to see all of it. But I don't know. But I would like to see the entire card. They do have like big names on the card. It reminds you of they usually have pretty good cards. I mean, I will give Eddie Hearn this. He does like pretty good cards. He mismatches careers all the time, but he does have pretty good cards. Katie Taylor, incidentally, is also on that card, going for against Ani Esther Sanchez for Sanchez WBA women's lightweight title. So Katie Taylor on her way to the WBA title. So we'll see what happens there. Beeb, what are your thoughts on Anthony Joshua versus Carlos Takam?
I'm going to be honest, totally honest here. I actually like this fight better than the Pulev fight because I like Takam's style.
You too?
Yeah, better than Pulev's style. And I don't see him winning the fight, but it's going to be interesting seeing if Takam can hang in there and give Anthony Joshua any type of problems because of his style, how he fights. He's like a turtle, basically. He fights like almost like a Archie Moore, / George Foreman type. The way he holds his hands defensively, those kind of that cross arm defense. And some people thought he beat Joseph Parker. I thought he definitely made a good account of himself, but
all he could handle.
Yeah, so I'm thinking when I hear statements from Pulev saying that he's concerned about fighting Joshua, that he may not be ready for Joshua. I think Takam's going to have a totally different attitude going into this fight. I know it's on pretty short notice, but you know what? He was ready, training for a fight already. Maybe not ready training for this fight, but how could you pass this opportunity up? This is an opportunity of a lifetime. And it's going to be interesting to see how Anthony Joshua reacts to the change as well, because he was preparing for a totally different style in Pulev. So now he's got to kind of switch things up last minute for Takam. So let's see how this plays out. I find it very hard to believe that it's going to turn out any other way than a Joshua victory. The question is, how quick will the knockout come? I think he's going to stop him, but we'll see. We'll see how long it takes him to get him out of there.
Does Takam pose any threat to Joshua at all?
He's not a super duper huge puncher, but he's a rugged guy inside. He's a grinder inside. So, yeah, to be an ugly fight in certain spots because of the way Takam, fights, because he likes to get inside and kind of make it a kind of phone booth type war. And you're going to see Anthony Joshua trying to continuously look for space in this fight to be able to turn his shots over properly. So, this is going to be a battle of geography more so than anything, because the thing about Anthony Joshua, he's not the quickest guy on his feet. He's got pretty decent hand speed, but he's not the quickest guy on his feet. So will he be able to establish the range that he's comfortable with in this fight for the whole duration of the fight? Or will there be spots where he's caught out of his comfort zone and possibly, getting hit with shots that he's not expecting, and getting hit with shots to the body more so than anything, because Takam's definitely going to try to make an attempt to go downstairs And we've never really seen anyone make a concerted effort to go to Anthony Joshua's body. I think Takam may be that guy that will make the concerted effort to go downstairs. Let's see how Anthony Joshua reacts to that.
Robert, what are your thoughts on Takam, and what are your thoughts on Joshua versus Takam?
Well, here's my question, especially to Beeb. Does Carlos Takam prepare Anthony Joshua in the future for a guy like Deontay Wilder? Is this a good fight for him to have if, say, his next fight is with Wilder? Or is this a waste of time in that regard? I mean, I got to give Carlos Takam credit. He gave Joseph Parker fits, and it was very questionable up until the end of the fight on who was going to win that fight. But Anthony Joshua is a completely different animal. He's, about 6'7", 240, and he's got power in both hands. And remember, he probably participated in so far the fight of the year, and he got an education in the process. I mean, he made mistakes in the beginning, and he learned, and he won it in the end. Well, okay, from the Klitschko experience, did he take that experience, and does Carlos Takam cause him any difficulty where he's got to pull some of those experiences out of the hat? I give Takam credit for taking this on such short notice, because you're right, Pulev is completely different style. If the Pulev fight would have taken place, I would have predicted a massive knockout as soon as possible. But Carlos Takam is a fighter. He gave Parker fits. I think this one might go a while. I think he's eventually going to be knocked out, but I think it'll be later in the fight.
Do you think that, I mean, you mentioned that does Deontay Wilder, does this prepare him for Deontay Wilder? I think Klitschko prepared him for Deontay Wilder. And honestly, I think Takam beats Stavern. I don't know what Stavern is preparing Wilder for. I don't know what, I really don't. I don't know, it's a complete waste of time. It certainly is not going to prepare him for Joshua and what he brings to the table. Yeah. I think that, go ahead, Beeb.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. I was just going to say one thing. Why is Eddie Hearn so hell-bent on having Wilder fight Dillian White? Because if you're Eddie Hearn, don't you want to make that Wilder-Joshua fight? Why would you put him in there with Dillian White? I would still favor Wilder in that fight, but I wouldn't say that White has no chance against Wilder.
White has a big chance against Wilder. I mean, you saw it. I mean, White hurt him, And we've seen, hey, I know both guys can be hurt. I mean, anybody, listen, man, you're in the heavyweight division. Anybody over 200 pounds, if they land a punch, can hurt you. They can get you out of there. And whether you think they have punching power or not, if he's over 200 pounds and he can throw a punch, he can get you out of there. But
why is Eddie Hearn pushing for that fight so badly, though? Because if I'm Eddie Hearn, I got to call him up and talk to him, because I think they need that Wilder fight with AJ. Why would you do anything to upset the apple cart for that? That's one thing that I'm real curious.
I know that Anthony Joshua asked for the Dillian White fight. He didn't want the Takam fight. He wanted the Dillian White fight because he said that White would bring out the best in him. So it could be, maybe he thinks he has unfinished business with him. I don't know.
No, I'm saying why does Eddie Hearn want White for Deontay Wilder so badly?
Because think about it. If you're a promoter, you get, because I tell you what, man, I think White might win that fight. I think he's got an average chance to beat him. And then you got two title holders. Now you're the unified champ, and then you have Dillian White and Anthony Joshua fight, and then you have an undisputed champ, and they're all in your camp. Why
don't you have Dillian White fight Joseph Parker, and you take that title?
I don't know. I don't know if they can make that fight. I don't know that too many people are beating down Parker's door, but I don't know.
I got to give Parker credit. At least he's made 2 title defenses so far. Wilder, it's no fault of his own. I realize people don't pass drug tests, but Wilder's inactivity just bothers the hell out of me. And the fact that Eddie Hearn said after the Klitschko fight, well, Joshua was only going to fight twice a year. maybe I'm old-fashioned in this, but I believe the more you fight, the better you get. And inactivity doesn't help your career at all. And I know people disagree with me, but that's always going to be my opinion.
Well, I think that remains to be seen, too, that he fights twice a year. Hasn't he already fought? Will this be the third time, or will this be only the second time as well?
No, just the second. Klitschko was in April, and now to come in October.
Yeah,
6 months.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. Because he just, that was a big fight for him, and he put him on the world stage, and he is, we'll see, how that goes. If he only fights, twice a year, we'll see. I'm still not 100% sold on that.
Let me ask you this though. So you think if Dillian White beat Deontay Wilder and Dillian White fought Anthony Joshua in a rematch in the UK for a unification fight, you think that would be a bigger fight than Anthony Joshua just fighting Deontay Wilder?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, sure. I see. Now I get the plot a little bit. Yeah,
think for a minute. Okay, just think for a second, man. Could you imagine two British guys? I mean, that's another Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno, man. Two British guys fighting for the heavyweight, the undisputed championship. One's got a belt, the other one's got 2 belts, and they come together in London. Come on, man, that's crazy talk.
Yeah. You put it in Wembley Stadium. I mean, hell,
that sells. Anthony Joshua sells out Wembley as it is. This would be the hottest ticket ever in Britain.
And as you said, he gets a piece of both of them. So
yeah, right. So
I guess it does make sense after all. I'm just looking. I'm putting my fan hat on right here, and I'm more interested in the Wilder Joshua fight because of all the hoopla that's being.
But I'll be honest with you too, man. I'm more interested because I think Joshua murks him. I'm more interested in a Wilder Dillian White fight. I think that gets him more prepared for Joshua than anything else.
Yeah, I agree.
Eric, I love it. I think a Deontay Wilder Dylan White fight would be fantastic. And if I'm Joshua, after I make my mandatory title defense here, I go out. I take Parker's title. I mean, that title is hanging fruit, man. I mean, I'd take that title and say, okay, Deontay, I've got 3 belts. What do you got? Let's you beat White, and then we'll go at it. But keep one thing in mind also. This is fight number 4 of Joshua's 6-fight deal with Showtime. There's only 2 more fights left because I do believe once the Showtime deal is done, Eddie will take him over to HBO.
No, there's no purpose to do that. There's no one over there. Who do they have at heavyweight? Nobody.
They don't have that. That's my point. They don't have anybody at heavyweight. But if he's the undisputed champion,
they're all going to have to come to him.
Have to be forced to deal with him.
He becomes the money guy. So
I don't think he goes to HBO. I don't think there's really a need for it.
I don't know. HBO's going to want him pretty bad. Yeah.
Thing, man.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't fight Deontay Wilder soon, he's not going to go to HBO. They're going to try and make that Deontay Wilder fight. Deontay Wilder's a Showtime. They're not going to jeopardize that. I really don't think so. And Eddie Hearn even said it, everyone thinks that I'm taking Joshua to HBO. I'm not doing that. Why would I do that?
Well, why would he tell us? Why would he come out and say what he's going to do? He's not going to tell you what he's going to do because he
told me.
He's not going to show it, Joe. He's not going to show it.
He told you.
Come on.
I just don't think that HBO is shelling out the big dollars anymore. I don't know if they're going to be able to entice Anthony Joshua to go over there. Showtime is hot right now.
Well, remember, after Saturday, we got 2 more fights with Showtime, and then we'll see what happens.
All right.
I mean, Showtime has been out hustling HBO for the last 2 years or so.
I agree, Joe. I agree,
sure.
Joe. But remember, Eddie signed a big deal with HBO. All of his fighters are there, except for Joshua.
The big one,
so
except
we'll see
the
what
big
happens
fish.
after 2 more fights.
Why, who else is at HBO? Who else is at HBO from Eddie Hearn besides Danny Jacobs? Who else?
His whole didn't he sign up his whole guy, all of his guys?
Are you sure, everyone?
Exactly. The only one they don't have is Joshua.
Wilder.
All right.
Yeah. It's like getting all of the Patriots except for Tom Brady.
Yeah, Yeah, because Luke Campbell was on HBO
right.
too when he fought Linares, so that's a good point. Okay, yeah, I got you.
There it is. Hey, and before we go to our news and rumors, Robert, I'm going to let you handle this one. Tony in the chat wants to know. He wants to know if we reviewed the Murata versus Endom fight. I'm going to let you take care of that. Go ahead and give him the review.
Oh God.
There's your review.
I'm first of all, I'm glad that ESPN 2 decided to show this fight. It came on at 4:15 in the morning my time. Thank God I got a DVR. I watched this fight. It was a competitive fight, I would say, but had it gone the distance, I think I would have given every round to the Japanese champion because, he's now the champion because he took the title. Endom does not have his legs left anymore. He did not move around the ring at all like he normally does. He stood right there in the pocket for the whole fight. They ended up stopping the fight. It was a TKO after the 7th round. His corner stopped the fight because I guess Endom told them, I don't have anything left. And I got so sick of Teddy Atlas and company saying, well, now he's the new Japanese WBA champion and he holds the real title. No, he does not. The real title belongs to Triple G. And they were promoting this guy like he could be competitive against Triple G. He could be competitive against Canelo. He's only 13-1. 13-1 with 10 knockouts now. He's not ready for the top level guys. And what he won was the WBA regular title. He didn't win the actual WBA title. Come on. I don't like it when people who are supposed to know what's going on in boxing try to sell somebody something else. This was not the real title. This just makes you a mandatory challenger somewhere down the road. That was it.
Yeah.
Anyway, TKO in the 7th round. That's it. That's all. Eric, next.
Yeah. Tony, there's your review, man. There you go. All right, let's move on to the news and rumors here. The WBA has suspended Louis Ortiz. The WBA suspended Louis Ortiz in connection with his failed drug test of the Deontay Wilder fight. They have also removed him from their rankings. The WBC, of course, have removed him from the Wilder fight over health concerns. Beeb, what's going on here? Isn't that what the WBC cited? They said, we're concerned about his health. Let's get him out of here and let's check on him, make sure he's okay. And the WBA suspends him because of his drug test.
Yeah, there's a little conflicting things going on here because if the WBA listens to what the WBC said, then I don't know. It just seems like it's contradicting.
Yeah.
But hey, what else is new in the sport of boxing? But yeah, this is crazy. It was a simple thing to just put down the medicine on the form. Do I think that Luis Ortiz used the medication as a masking agent? I don't know. I would like to, to see the investigation and see the findings of the investigation before I really go in depth and, heap criticism on Luis Ortiz. I think it was stupid that they didn't put the medication on the form. And my friend Eric and I, aka D-Style Boxing, he made an excellent video where he detailed all the forms and how simple they are and how read and easy to fill out. And he found it hard to believe that they couldn't fill out the forms properly, or they did not fill out the forms properly. So if you Google the VADA forms, or you go on their website, they will give you all those forms, and you can see all those forms, and they're pretty easy to fill out. So there's really no excuse for not following the protocol beforehand. So yeah, at the very least, I think you can really look at Luis Ortiz's team and say, hey, they were really negligent and they were incompetent in not filling out these forms. Do you blame Luis Ortiz directly for that, or do you blame his team? I don't know, but at the end of the day, I think Luis Ortiz is going to be in trouble. I think his career is in jeopardy, and it'll be interesting to see what the WBC does with Luis Ortiz moving forward, because they did not, word this as a violation of him.
Take a fork to Luis Ortiz. His career is done.
Yeah, they did not word it in the sense that, hey, he failed the drug tests and we're going to suspend him. They worded it as though they're just going to do an investigation to see if he's fit to fight, whereas WBA went in a totally different direction. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward with the WBC. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to hear their further news about the situation.
The WBC just kills me. It's almost like this whole thing is just nonsense. The whole thing, their clean program is all nonsense. I mean, it really is. If you're not going to cut this guy or get him out of your rankings, then what are we doing? I mean, really, what are we doing here? If he's not going to get suspended, he's going to, I mean, and is it really there? I mean, is it their call if he gets suspended or not? I mean, should be the commission, no?
Yeah, I think the commission. The thing is this: he could fight if the commission approves him to fight in there. No matter where he fights, if he goes fights in Vegas commission approves him, New York commission approves him, wherever he fights, and they approve him, he can fight. But the thing is what the WBC and the WBA is saying is, we're not going to sanction it. We're not going to rank him, or WBA is taking him out of the rankings for at least 6 months.
Good for them.
The WBC, so the WBC, I don't know what they're going to do, but as far as him being the mandatory, or not even as far as him, being in a top 10 or whatever, I don't know what they're going to do with that, because they haven't officially suspended him. So we'll see what happens. I don't know, but he could still fight. The thing is, will he be ranked after, in a sanctioning body, regardless of who he fights?
Right.
And will he be able to fight for a title? That's the question.
If I had a guy, I wouldn't put him against him. No way I'd put that guy. Yeah. Especially if he's not ranked. There's no reason to do it.
Like the thing is, if this was a first-time offense,
right,
it would have been handled differently. But because he, came up dirty before, then obviously the course of action is going to be different this time around.
Yeah, so there it is. Now, we talked about the Carlos Takam, Anthony Joshua fight, but the original guy in there was Kubrat Pulev, and what happened to him? Apparently, Kubrat Pulev injured his shoulder and is pulled out of the fight, of course. There were a few names batted around as replacement, and they ultimately decided on Carlos Takam for some reason. 70,000 tickets have already been sold to this event. 70,000 in Cardiff's Principality Stadium. 70,000. How many does Wilder get down in Alabama when he spells out a fight? Was it 10?
I have no idea.
What is it, about 10,000? 10,000 people?
Yeah. Well,
which is still good.
You bring up another point. You bring up another point, Eric. Anthony Joshua has a hell of a home country advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, instead, I realize we're supposed to be the creme de la creme of media coverage, but if you're Anthony Joshua and you're Eddie Hearn, why would you give up that home canvas advantage? Why don't you make everybody come to you? Because you're making the money in the UK. People are buying tickets. Is it really that important to come over here to the United States? There's no way Anthony Joshua will ever get 70, 80, 90,000 people in the United States to go to one of his fights.
It's real simple, man. How come they didn't do the Canelo Triple G fight in Dallas Stadium where they could have sold 80,000? Money.
Well, Oscar's an idiot.
Yeah, but I think if you want to make
this takes place in Vegas. This takes place in Vegas, and they get a cut of some of that. I mean, yeah, that's big, man.
I think it's imperative to have him at some point fight in the United States.
Has to,
regardless of the money. If you want to make this guy an international star.
Yeah, that was the Klitschko's.
I see the point. I understand why it's important for him to do it, but hell. That's just an incredible home canvas advantage. To know that every time you fight, 70, 80, 90,000 of your countrymen are going to show up to support you. I mean, that's a hell of an advantage. And most fighters, at least from here anyway, most fighters from the United States, they don't fight in front of big crowds like that. I think a lot of them fold up before the fight even begins because they've never been exposed to anything like that.
Right.
Well, here's another interesting point about the whole Carlos Takam situation, filling in for a fight because of Pulev. He was already on deck beforehand. He was contacted beforehand, like, "Hey, if this fight falls through, you're going to be on deck." Like, were they anticipating something to happen with Pulev? I mean, what was the situation there? How was he already on deck and almost immediately, put in as the substitute? That's crazy.
That's smart business, though. I mean, you think about
it. It is really smart business.
I mean, they probably paid him to train. They probably paid him and everything.
Yeah. Who thinks of stuff like that? Who thinks of stuff like that? Oh, I know.
I would
imagine Eddie Hearn. No one else would think of something like that.
I mean, you think about 70,000. I mean, 70,000 people bought tickets to see Joshua fight. So
when I found out that he was already contacted beforehand as, "Hey, you know what? If this doesn't fall through, you're going to be on deck." That's amazing.
Yeah, that's smart right there, man. I'm sure somebody behind Eddie Hearn was doing that. I'm sure Eddie Hearn didn't think of that.
No, Eddie told me it was his idea.
Eddie told you. All right. The big one is finally set. David Lemieux versus Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know if it's a big one, but I'm sure it's big to those two. WBO World Middleweight Champion Billy Joe Saunders will put his belt on the line December 16th against former champion David Lemieux in Montreal, Canada. The venue hasn't been set yet. The fight will be on HBO. I'll tell you what, a lot of people shorting Billy Joe Saunders here, saying that Lemieux is going to knock him out. Lemieux is going to end his title reign. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not so sure. I think Billy Joe Saunders beats Lemieux, and I think he beats him pretty handily. I'm not, Lemieux's got some big shots, but I thought in that Triple G fight, he showed he could be outboxed. I mean, in the Triple G, just outboxed him. It wasn't even like he outslugged him. He just outboxed him. And good luck trying to land a big shot on Billy Joe Saunders, man. Billy Joe Saunders.
Where's the fight going to be again, Eric? I'm sorry.
Montreal, Canada.
Oh, definitely.
I think it'll be the Bell Center, Eric. I think that's where they'll wind up having it. That's just my guess.
Lemieux's going to win that fight.
No.
He's going to knock him out.
I don't know.
He's going to knock him out.
No way. Knock Billy Joe Saunders out?
Yes.
No, come on, man. How's he going to hit him?
Billy Joe Saunders. How's he going to hit him? Come on. Willie Monroe hit him.
Man.
How did Willie Monroe hit him?
The difference between Willie Monroe and David Lemieux.
Yeah, David Lemieux's way better.
Son.
David Lemieux is a good fighter, man. Come on. He's so underrated.
Dude, his days are done. His best days are behind him. Get out of here. Robert, what do you think of this?
Well, Eric, you're by yourself in this one. I can't wait to see Billy Joe Saunders.
You hate Billy Joe Saunders. He hates Billy Joe Saunders anyway.
I'm with Beeb on this one.
Let's look at Billy Joe Saunders.
Huh?
He loses 5 rounds against William Monroe.
He did.
Number 1. Number 2, he barely squeaks by Andy Lee. Number 3, barely squeaks by Chris Eubank Jr.
He had no difficulty with Andy Lee.
He didn't have any difficulty with Andy. I don't know what fight were you guys in.
Are you kidding me?
I don't know what fight you guys.
He got hurt. He went into a defensive shell the whole second half of the fight.
Billy Joe Saunders was ducked by Triple G. He was ducked by Canelo. Hey.
Now I know you're trolling hard. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Now I'm not impressed with Billy Joe Saunders. There's a reason why he's been hiding over there in the UK.
He beat Eubank. He beat Eubank Jr. sound.
The skin of his ass.
I like Billy Joe Saunders. I like Billy Joe Saunders as a boxer, but the problem I have with him is he talks his way into fights.
Don't worry about that.
Soon as he's offered like then he's offered like $4 or $5 million to take a fight, and then he backs out.
So
what the hell's up with that? I mean, I can't defend that. I hope Lemieux knocks him.
And then he sits on a podium. He sits on a podium at a press conference and says, "I cannot beat this man." He says it openly. I cannot beat this man. Neither one of us can beat this man. I just don't like hearing things like that come out of a fighter's mouth. Not champions.
Hey, but he's still the champ.
I can say that because I'm not a champion. But if you're a world champion, you can't say that.
Yeah, that's true. But he's still champion, and I think
for a couple more weeks.
For a couple more weeks, I'm telling you, man, he's beating David Lemieux. Lemieux's not going to know what to do with that movement. Lemieux is going to get completely. You thought Triple G's movement confused him? Are you serious? What is Billy Joe Saunders' movement going to do to him?
Brianna just said I'm her champion. Isn't that sweet?
That's awesome. Look at that. Hey, speaking of Brianna, Beeb, it's time.
It's time. Let's go before you stop falling asleep. I see your eyes drooping. Let's go. Very good.
There you go. Train wreck of the week this week, Paulie Malignaggi. I couldn't even believe that he's a train wreck of the week this week, man, because I opened up Twitter and it's like all over again. It's like 3 months ago. About 3 months ago, Malignaggi helped Conor McGregor get ready for Floyd Mayweather. The two sparred a couple of times. It was stated by almost everyone that McGregor got the better of the sparring session. Leaked video, everything like that. We saw it. Listen, he got knocked over. He got knocked down. He was, listen, he was hurt. Whatever. It's sparring. Nobody cares, Since then, Paulie Malignaggi has not shut up about this, tweeting almost daily about Conor McGregor and the sparring session. This is going on for 3 solid months. Every single day, he is tweeting something about McGregor. And like this week, I'm like looking at it. I'm like, he's still tweeting about this, and he's still talking about the sparring session. Beeb, do you think I know what he's doing. We all know what he's doing. We all know he wants to get that fight. I know Al Heyman and the UFC are talking about that fight. Do you actually think that fight comes off? Or do you
do.
Do you think McGregor and what's his face getting on? It was Tony Ferguson.
I think both fights happen. I just don't know which fight happens first. That's the thing. That's the big question. I think.
Now, does the Paulie Malignaggi fight happen in the cage, or does it happen in the boxing ring?
In the boxing ring.
Dana White said, "Hey, this is the only time you're doing this."
Yeah, Uncle Dana.
Yeah, but Dana White said a lot of things that he went back on. So.
He's not Eddie Hearn. He's a good promoter.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
It's Uncle Dana.
You say so. He also said that he would never let John Jones headline another show. First incident with Daniel Cormier.
Oh, come on. You got to get chances. You don't believe in second chances?
Well, yeah. Third and fourth, yeah.
Third and fourth.
That's okay.
Yeah, they say Jones, and speaking of Jones, man, they say it could be like a couple of years, like 2 or 3 years, or they may throw.
They still haven't. It's taken so long. They still haven't come out with the official punishment.
Yeah, what was it? Was he's tested positive for some kind of powerlifting steroid?
Tyranobol.
Yeah, that's what it was, and he tested positive for that, right? And it makes sense because he was powerlifting. You know what I mean?
Well, now they're saying, and even the guy from USADA is saying that he really thinks that it was inadvertent use.
Inadvertent. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
How
I know. I'm not defending him. I'm just shocked that USADA is actually speaking on behalf of him.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Crazy.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
In the Glenn Tapia school of I don't want to see this again, Acelino Freitas returns to the ring at age 42. He'll return on November 11th against Gabriel Martinez. Yeah, I don't know who Gabriel Martinez is either. I have no idea what the point of this fight is, to be honest with you. Don't know why he's coming back. And the World Boxing Super Series Cruiserweight Final will be held in, wait for it, Saudi Arabia. That's right. Wow. Organizers announced on Tuesday that the May final of the 8-man tournament, which includes 4 major world title holders, will take place in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
This is what you call dropping the ball big time. Seriously, that's Saudi Arabia. That was the hotbed of boxing.
You know where it should be? It should honestly be in Boise, Idaho.
It might as well be. Seriously, what in the world? What is going on with Richard Schaefer? Him and Eddie Hearn doing a horrible job with this thing. Terrible. 937, you're live. Somebody just wrote in the chat, F Saudi Arabia.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
Hey, what's going on, Wood?
Hey, Wood.
Not much, man. So the wife had me out, as usual, 6:30, 6:45. Let's go get something to eat.
Nice.
So I don't get to tune in to the first half of the show. So I don't know what I have to check it out tomorrow at work when I download it to see what the earlier topics were.
There you go.
Well, Wood, talk about whatever you want. We've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I know all we have really is conjecture, to engage in as far as Wilder and AJ getting it on. I caught into that phone conference yesterday with Anthony Joshua, and for what it's worth, I think the guy's pretty interesting to listen to. I like his attitude, pretty good personality and everything. Doesn't seem to take things too seriously. He's just a likable guy. So I'm hopeful that fight gets made next year. I don't know. I think the only thing for me, I think Robbie was a big. I thought Robbie said before that he sees Anthony Joshua wiping the floor with Wilder. Was that correct?
Yeah, no, I believe that. I think Joshua being the younger man and Wilder being inactive like he has been, I think it's advantage Joshua. I think Joshua, if he does things correctly, can be the man in the heavyweight division for several years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. I just wonder if there's any intangibles. I mean, I do think that Wilder might be he might have like a nastier streak in him or whatever, or have a little more dog in him. I think that's what he's trying to bring to that fight, that matchup with Joshua. But I mean, it's not like Joshua doesn't have the technique and the fundamentals to deal with that. So I just wonder if Wilder could do something, like I said, with trying to just be a dog in that matchup, be more of the dog in that matchup.
Well, I do think in 2018 that fight will take place. They're gonna have all kinds of negotiations and other names are gonna be thrown around, but when push comes to shove, I think that is the heavyweight fight in 2018. It's got to take place.
Yeah, I think Joshua was. I thought he was definitely interested in coming to America in 2018. He referred to it as the Mecca of boxing several times. But then I like how he brought up the fact that it's some. He said something about it. Some professionals. Yeah, he said there's some professionals behind the scenes that are pretty good at what they do, and he kind of left the door open to that fight possibly happening over on the other side of the Atlantic. So it'd be great over here, but I'd actually Wilder was willing to go over there and fight Povetkin. I wouldn't mind seeing the fight happen over there.
I would love to see Wembley Stadium full and have Deontay Wilder deal with that kind of crowd pressure. I mean, the only time Alabama ever shows up for a big crowd is 100,000 for Alabama football. Let's see what Deontay Wilder would do in front of 90,000 screaming Brits at Wembley Stadium. I understand why. For marketing and promotional reasons, I understand why. Everybody's excited about Joshua coming here, in Vegas and New York can bid all they want. But that's a hell of a home canvas advantage. I don't think I'd give that away.
I wouldn't. I just wonder what were you guys' thoughts. I thought we saw some current footage of Floyd working out in the gym, and it didn't look like any kind of stay in shape type workout. You guys think there's any chance that he comes back again?
Yeah, I think there's
God.
100% chance he comes back again. You know that boy is flat broke, son.
I hate to even bring it up.
Fucking
Say again?
I said he's flat broke, son.
Go ahead, Eric.
He spent all that money on that house. He bought that house in L.A. or wherever he bought it, and then he's got the IRS crawling all over him, man. Yeah, you know he's got to fight again, man.
Wow.
You know he's got to fight again.
What are we gonna?
Where's that dude?
Where's
Where's that dude gonna call?
Where's
Where's that dude gonna call and then get all over me for
Give me a
this?
break.
What did you say? Pacquiao 2.0?
Yeah, no, Mayweather Pacquiao 2. What the hell are we gonna see? I mean, who's he gonna fight? Really? Give me a break.
I don't know.
I don't have a clue, man. But I just to see him in the gym working out that strenuously, it kind of teases the fact that he might be looking at some angle to exploit, some kind of matchup. I don't know.
I tell you what,
Oh
if he gets in there with like a legit boxer or anything like that, man, it depends on who, because he didn't look that great in that McGregor fight. I got to be honest, man. And I don't care what anybody says about, oh, he just took the first rounds off and he didn't want to give too much away and expend it. Shut up with all that nonsense. All right. Because you know what? He was getting tagged in that fight. He was getting tagged. All right. And I know Mayweather doesn't want to get hit. You didn't see any pull counters. Listen, and all the, oh yeah, he didn't even train for that fight. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He didn't train for it. Okay. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, if he wants to come back, he better really think about it, man. Cause yeah, he didn't look too good. That's for sure. But yeah,
right.
But I'm with you though.
Hey, any chance or go ahead, Eric.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, and does it seem like Gervonta Davis? I mean, does it look like he's staying at 130 instead of going up to lightweight?
You know what? I'm glad you brought him up because I just read that the first degree charge got dropped against him, but the second degree charge is sticking for his assault case or whatever it was, or he's in trouble with the law or whatever. So yeah, man, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Hopefully he stays out of jail, but I don't know where he goes, man. I don't know. Yeah, you just said Gervonta Davis, and it just jarred my memory. I was like, that's right. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it sounds like with some of the constant badgering that he's doing on Twitter with Tevin Farmer, it just seems like he might be sticking around down there to to try to get his belt back. Which, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight actually, but it's just like for a guy that has so much, he's the the prince over at Mayweather Promotions,
right? And
he just doesn't seem to be a guy with the division right now or playing right now.
Well, you know what's funny about that whole thing do you really want to see him fight Tevin Farmer? I mean, aren't there bigger things for him to do? Than fight Tevin Farmer. And that's nothing against Tevin Farmer.
I agree.
I think I think it's a walkover fight for him. I don't think it's a fight he's going to lose. And why waste your time with Tevin Farmer? I mean, when you got bigger paydays out there, I would assume you got bigger
90
paydays.
Seconds.
But yeah.
Well, I don't know if anything else really gets made though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you wonder what he's doing over there. Yeah, you wonder what they're doing about what they're doing over there with Mayweather Promotions with that guy, because he seems stagnant, but that could be because of his legal troubles.
You got to be able to make that stuff go away.
60 seconds.
Baltimore, something can be done there if you're a fan of The Wire. There's some way to work around some of that stuff.
I don't know, man. Floyd couldn't work his way out of it. He got locked up for 90 days.
Not only The Wire showed that, but so did Homicide, Wood. It was filmed in Baltimore too.
Right. I mean, I'm I'm thinking something the witness could have a change of heart or something, or the person that was assailed or something. There has to be some way around that.
Hey, do the old Don King trick. Show up with a briefcase, and that'll make it all go away.
Exactly. I don't know. It just seems kind of odd that, like I said, to have a kid. I mean, to be a kid with so much promise, and you would think
10 seconds.
They would have something lined up for him in some way or the other, and it just seems like he's kind of floating around out there. And I don't think 135 is going to be too kindly to the guy right now. That's just my opinion, but we'll see.
There it is. All right, Wood, anything else to get off your chest, man?
No, man, it's kind of a slow week. I hate that I haven't been able to stay in tune with this World Boxing Super Series, as it takes a little bit of hustle to kind of keep up with what's going on in that because of the way that it's rolled out on TV and whatnot. But I think it'll be interesting to see what Usyk does up at Cruiser and the finals of that. And then obviously, I mean, I want to see what Eubank can pull out at the 168 portion of it. But it just seems kind of, I don't know, I would have liked it to have been more accessible, here in the States. But I tried checking out some of it. Sometimes the feed on the WBSS website didn't work. And then I tried to find some other links, and you had to download some other type of stuff and whatnot. So I just kind of gave up on it, but I feel like I'm out of the loop on a pretty entertaining tournament. And I think it's a good model, to how to get some stuff done in some divisions. So, I don't know if anybody takes a cue from it in the future, but it did seem like it's getting us somewhere with a bunch of, competitive guys. So, other than that, man, not a lot. I just tried to tune in. I like to support you guys every week and whatnot. So just thought I'd tune in when I got home from dinner. But like I said, I'll go back and download the show and check you guys out tomorrow at work.
Good deal, man. Good deal. And where can we find you at, Wood?
Man, just talkloudradio.com, and you can find the Pay Me No Mind podcast on there. Actually got it's a little bit of some older content is on this week's episode, but it's the first one that I dropped in about a month.
Okay.
I had Karen A. Tate on there from boxing.com, and we kind of had a pretty extensive conversation. She's a real stickler about scoring in boxing. So I don't know if anybody's reading her stuff at boxing.com, but she's written on judging quite a bit. If anybody follows her on Twitter, she's pretty much and it's not like, I mean, she spent a lot of time like trying to get better at judging and like digging into the criteria of how to judge boxing rounds and everything. So we spent some time talking about that. I also finished up that episode with Nathaniel Gallimore out of Chicago from the Broke team, who's worked himself into being a 154 contender at 154. He actually has a fight, I believe, on November 17th. I don't think they've named an opponent yet, but him and Joshua Greer Jr., they're both on that card. So his details come out on that. We already talked before that was named. So he just talked about his fight with Justin DeLoach and kind of upsetting what Justin had in the works and kind of why that fight played out the way that it did. I think it was a PBC card. So it was pretty interesting to get his opinion. And then I also I got another clip on there with the guy who used to be at Rock Nation Sports. And that's why I wanted to talk to him, because I just wanted to know what was going on over at Rock Nation. But as soon as we started talking, he informed me that now he's doing some, matchmaking work and looking and scouting prospects for DeBella Entertainment. So I just got his opinion when I was in the back at the Lara Gaucher card last week. But we did talk about just what he's looking for, or what guys in his line of work would be looking for in prospects. And they got I think he's either welterweight or junior welterweight, a kid out of Flint, Michigan. I think that might be related to Clarissa Shields, but he signed with DeBella a couple of months ago, and I just haven't seen the kid fighting at all. And he had a pretty good talent. So I just wondered what was going on with the kid. We kind of talked about what was going on with him. Oh, and then also last thing, with him being at Rock Nation previously, I just wanted to know what his thoughts were on Luis Arias going up against Jacob. So we did talk about that a little bit. So it's quite a bit of stuff on the podcast. You know, like I said, Pay Me No Mind show at talkloudradio.com. You can check it out.
Good deal, man. Well, tweet me the do me a favor, tweet me the podcast, and I'll go ahead and tweet it back out. All right.
Great deal. I appreciate it. Hey, fellas, have a great week. Take care, and another good show.
There you go. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Wood's all over the place, man. I love Wood, man. He's got all these guys on his podcast. He's writing now. Why is he writing for us? Beeb, what's the problem here? How come Wood's not writing for us?
I don't know. He's a busy guy, I guess.
He's a busy guy. I know. Writing for everybody else, not us.
Give him a nice contract.
That's it. Yeah, you're with Beeb Industries. You're supposed to be doling out the contracts.
I have to put out a contract for him. Talk to Eddie.
You'll talk to Eddie.
Well, Eric, you know he's taking his cues from the UK Godfather over there.
There you go.
Good old Eddie.
There you go. Area code 508. 508.
From this day,
hello,
my
Georgie.
new fool.
That's it. Yeah.
Georgie.
Hey, what's happening, people?
What's happening,
How you guys
baby?
doing tonight?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
We're doing good, man.
I know you guys are a little late past your bedtime, so I'm going to try to make it quick. I would like to give a shout out to Machado. Puerto Rico really needed that win. Some people say that it was an early stoppage, but at the end of the day, the referee got the last word, and that was the way the cookie crumbled. So for the Panamanians out there, I wish they give him a rematch because I would like to see that fight again. Both guys got, like Beeb said, they got both manholes in their game, you know. They got to do a lot of, you know, fixing. But besides that, an entertaining fight.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was a really good fight. I thought, like I said, man, I thought he was winning the fight. So, yeah, crazy how it happens.
It was really good, man. Number 2 won't be bad. That would be something that I would love to see. But hey, let's see what happens with that Machado dude. Because I mean, competition in that weight division is kind of tough. So let's see if he can retain that belt for some time. See what happens. People just can't get better on boxing, unless you're getting old, of course. But besides that, I want to talk about a little Wild Day AJ situation. Because I mean, listen, man, this is the problem right here with Wilder, bro. It's just that record. This is the problem. When you got that type of record that only you can pick a name out of 40 fights, it's hard to make an argument with you. And then I see this man talking about that if he don't see an AJ name in the White fight, like if he won't fight AJ after White, he won't fight White. But White is the only fight that makes sense. An easy win, a lot of money, and you can scoop up a lot of fucking U.S. fans with a victory down there. I don't understand why it's so puzzling for his camp. I just don't get it. What make Wilder think that he got any type of negotiation power? Any of you guys can explain that?
I think because he's the
Georgie, in a way,
he's the champion.
In a way, he does because he's got the belt.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Now Joshua's got 2 more belts.
That's it.
And he's got better competition. Yeah. He's got more. I mean, really, Joshua does have the bargaining power. I think Wilder thinks he has the bargaining power because he's been champ longer. But yeah, quite honestly, I mean, all that kind of goes by the wayside with Joshua, to be honest. Bigger numbers, I'm sure bigger numbers ratings wise, bigger numbers attendance wise. Eddie Hearn came out and said it this week, says that there's no way this could be an even money fight in the sense that both fighters are going to get 50-50. It doesn't work that way. I think he's right.
Eddie Hearn is right.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I believe he's right.
Absolutely right. There is no way that it should be like like at 30-70, maybe even at 20-80. Wilder really got that fight, baby. If you give $600K, right?
I think it's going to go
$600,000.
I think it's going to go around 60-40 for that fight to be made. I think it's going to be around 60-40 for that fight to be made. I don't think Wilder is going to do a 70-30 split. I think it'll be about a 60-40.
Man, listen, even if it is at 20-80, Wilder should take it. Because if you're willing to ditch out $600,000 to take us to burn and fight Ortiz, and you willing to fucking turn down $5 million to fight White down there in the UK, like the first time they offered that money, he said no, right? So, I mean, if money really is not that important, why now you talking about 50-50? It just don't make sense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's not, no, I gotcha. My, you know, where I'm coming at it from is I don't think Wilder takes that fight for less than 60-40. I just think he'll walk. I don't think he'll do it. He'll claim that Joshua's scared or whatever the case may be. There's no way Wilder takes that fight for 70.
Man, Wilder got to sit the fuck up, bro. Straight up and down. I mean, don't try to, you know, get too cursy or anything here, but he just got to shit up. Because I mean, if you're not getting took the $5 million from Dillian White, and now you're gonna say you need like a 40-60 or a 50-50 or something like that, baby. It's just like your mindset is not there. And I think the Wilder mindset is kind of messed up lately. Well, I think he paying too much attention. He paying too much attention to this Twitter and the Instagram and all this media and all this bullshit. Dude, just fight. You fought 40 plus people already that don't mean anything for anybody. The guy who will mean anything on your career that really can put you there in history. And then you're going to come out to this a situation with money, and the only thing you got a WBC Mafia belt to show up because you can pack no fucking seats. It's just ridiculous, man. It's just a man. I don't know. Somebody got to fucking really have a talk to this dude. And he do not in no position to just open your mouth. Don't open your mouth. Take whatever. He's not. He's just not. Just take whatever they give you, or they're going to fight Parker, and you're going to be pushed down to 2020 or even worse. Never fighting him. So he just, I don't know, man. Wilder is frustrating. I mean, a lot of people say that I'm a Wilder hater, but, baby, when you haven't fought nobody for that long, man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
You know what the big problem is? This is the frustrating thing. And, you know, I got to give Wilder credit for wanting to fight Vivek, for wanting to fight Luis Ortiz. But the fights fell through. Okay, I get it. But the thing is this. When the fights fall through, the replacements are like 15, 20 levels below.
Right.
So why not have a comparable replacement? That's the frustrating thing. Like, I understand the situation with Stavern or whatever. I get that. But couldn't he at least apply for like a voluntary defense with them? Because the Ortiz fight was not a mandatory. So why not just file for a replacement? Like an exception, an optional defense. Why not do that? That's what frustrates me.
Listen, a lot of times I think that Wilder should have dropped that WBC long time ago. Since he got that belt, okay, you got the belt, you're the champ or one now. But then again, who the fuck is on the WBC ranking that we want to see? No one. Who's on the WBC ranking that will make you money and give you credibility for the fans? Not a fucking soul on that WBC list as a heavyweight. You know, that's a problem. So he would have fucking dropped that shit like 2 or 3 years ago and tried to work his way into these other belts. They're like more European in a sense, but most of these belts that like they get fucked with down there more than here, you know, WBA and shit like that. Then the Wilder versus AJ would it happen already? He should have dropped that belt a long time ago, but he stuck with it. And what the WBC got for him? Nothing to show for. Nothing. And a fucked up record of 40 fucking fights and only one name. I mean, baby, you can't. I mean, it's just that's the truth of the situation, and that's a hole that you made for yourself. You made it, so I mean, that you made your bed, baby. Take a nappy. Pretty much it. Oh, guys, I gotta let you go. Love you. Always listening. Thank you for listening to me. Everybody there, giving the thumbs up and support.
Oh, thank you so much, Georgie. Thank you so much. Love it when you call, man. Thank you very much. Always a solid call. Always. And yeah, I mean, yeah, if you guys, again, man, if you guys like what we're doing, man, subscribe to Beating the Odds with Beeb or Ringside Reporter, get our podcast and everything. Give us a thumbs up, man. We never ask for money. We never ask for any of that stuff. Just go and subscribe to us.
This is not paper. This is not pay-per-view. We're not trying to fleece you. You know, we're not going to go on Patreon. We're going to be here every single Sunday. But no, this Deontay Wilder thing, man, Eric, it's getting on my nerves. I mean, I understand the people didn't pass drug tests, but my God, really? We have to be stuck with Bermain Stavern all over again? We've already seen this show.
Well, and I think B brought up a good point.
You know,
B brought up a really good point saying that, you know, well, we understand those fell through, but what if, you know, we had 3 big ones that fell through, but what about the replacements? I mean, you know, the replacements were less than stellar, and this is only hurting Wilder. I mean, it's not hurting anybody else. It's hurting Wilder, and it's hurting his, you know, it's hurting his market value. It's hurting his development. It's hurting, you know, it's hurting a lot, you know, and yeah, I mean, Berman Stavern.
And when you fight people like this, even though you're a champion, you can't make a unification bout and have a solid leg to stand on, because the other champion across the table is going to look at you and go, well, I got 2 belts. Who have you fought? Nobody.
Yeah, and I mean, Georgie brought up a valid point. I mean, you know, Wilder, you know, they want to talk about a 50-50 split. This is not a 50-50 fight. It's not. I mean, what do you bring to the table aside from a belt? I can go get Joseph Parker's belt and make more money or make just as much money. Doesn't make sense, you know.
Hey,
so
if I'm Joshua, that's what I would do if negotiations fall through here.
100%.
I get that belt and I go back to Wilder and I say, okay, I got 3 belts now. What have you done?
Yeah, it's even worse for him. Yeah, you're right.
And Parker doesn't want to fight Wilder. He wants to fight Joshua, obviously, for the bigger payday.
Money and more money. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what everybody wants.
Right. Just way more money. So yeah, way more money to fight Wilder or Parker.
That's another thing too.
Joshua.
You have a guy like Joseph Parker. Granted, he hasn't looked great in either one of his title defenses, but at least he's defended his title, and he still draws the crowd. If he fights Joshua, the UK fans will love it because it's England against Ireland. I mean, they love that kind of stuff. I mean, Wilder doesn't really have anything to offer here.
What Eric Rosas in the chat just brought up, he says that Takam would be Wilder's best win. Carlos Takam would be Wilder's best win. You know what?
He's probably right.
He's right. He's right. I mean, give me a better one. Right now, up to this point, Bermain Stavern is his biggest win. Give me a better one. I think Takam takes apart Stavern. Right. You know, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 917-259-1810. Leave him a message. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1 and find his YouTube channel at beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside 73, and we will see you next week.
Take care, everybody.